Hi, I'm Rob Cosman. Welcome to my shop. I've gone through how you process a board with just hand tools. I'm going to show you my way of doing it with power tools. A lot quicker. All right, so here's... I'm Rob Cosman, and welcome to my shop. We make it our job to help you take your woodworking to the next level. If you're new to our channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and don't forget to turn on the notification on your mobile device so you'll know every time we release a new video. Good? All right, back to the bench. All right, so here's our piece of oak lumber. I'm going to start at the chop saw. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is going to turn the air on, so that's what that noise in the background will be. It's our dust collection. So rough lumber coming directly from the mill. It's been dried. It's going to be a little bit twisted. Obviously, it's not going to be parallel sides. It's not going to be uniform thickness. So we've got to go through and do all that processing. First thing I want to do before I cut a piece I'm going to use is get rid of any possible end checks that there might be. So I'll cut about 3/4 of an inch off of the end. And I want to check that to see if there are any checks, and you can see one right there. Well, that's going to continue. So I'll take another. And if you think this is waste, it's even more wasteful to actually process something and then find you've got an end check in that board that you wanted. Now, there's the check over here. I don't see it carrying through on this side, and it doesn't easily break, so I'm pretty confident that we're good. Now let's say we want a piece that's going to be 2 feet long. I'm going to go a little bit longer than 2 feet. I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch beyond. My cuts are pretty square. This piece is not in bad shape, so I don't need to waste any more than that. So I'll eyeball it. All right, now we've got to get a reference face. The easiest way to do that is on a jointer. Now what I want is to have the surface that sits closest to being true, and that one moves around quite a bit, and so does that one. So I'll take the worst of the least of the two. Probably going to be this one. Always difficult when it pivots in the middle, but we can get by it. I've got this set for about 32nd of an inch cut. Always using push sticks. Now the back one has a cleat on there. This one in the front is just to hold it down. So what we do here, we want to start off with all the pressure straight down on what's called the infeed table. Now it didn't make contact until about 6 inches in, but right about here I'm making a transition to where I've got more weight up here on the front. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to make a heavier cut because that board's out a lot more than I thought. As you can see, we didn't touch much. Make sure there's no debris in the way. So at this point, both hands are pushing straight down and a little bit forward. Now, I've got equal pressure on the front hand and on the back hand. Now flip that over, and we've got a good clean face. Look at that check. It is actually went in there an extra 1/2 inch. That would disqualify that board most likely, but we'll go ahead and process this anyway. Now that we got a reference face, we want to put it up against this fence so we can get a square and straight edge. But you can't always rely on the grain direction being in your favor, meaning if this is the edge that I want to square up on the jointer and the grain's running the wrong way, it's of no value to relay that face up against there. So that's why I say sometimes it's better to run it through the thickness planer first, and then you get both edges that are parallel, just looking at the grain direction. Now I'm just going to keep this piece as thick as I can. That's a little better than 3/4. But now I've got both edges, or both surfaces that are parallel, so I can lay either one up against that fence and it'll end up resulting in a nice straight square edge. Now I'm going to eyeball that. I prefer to work with a cup here as opposed to a convex surface here, which tends to pivot. The problem is that when you're trying to put through an edge that pivots, the distribution of your weight gets a little bit messed up. Whereas the convex side, you're referencing on 2 spots, hollow in the middle, a lot easier to work. So as I look at that, it's convex, and the grain appears to be running this way, meaning it's running off the board like this. So I'm going to go through the fence, the jointer in this direction. Lots of pressure against the fence, so that nice that flat reference face will ensure that I end up having a nice square edge, providing, of course, that the fence is square to the table, but I've already set that up. Now, again, pressure, both hands are pushing down like this, and I essentially just carry that all the way through. Miss back here. All right, so I've got a straight edge that runs front to back. Now I've got a whole lot of waney edge right here. I could take it out in the joiner, but that's a lot of extra work. I can cut that off a lot faster. At this point, I'd go over to the table saw. Hey, if you like this video, we have more. Our monthly newsletter has subscriber-only content, discounts monthly on tools, and anything we bring out that's new, subscribers get first crack at it. Click on the link below. Let's get back to work. Now, if I'm just trying to get maximum yield out of this, I would treat it differently. But if I'm going for a specific piece, then I would take it whatever I want. If I wanted a piece was going to be 4.5, I might cut 4 and a strong half, which would translate into about a 64th extra, maybe a 32nd, enough so that I can clean up these knife marks from the jointer with my hand plane. I'm just going to get maximum yield out of this. So it's 4 3/4 down there. It's 4 11/16 here. But in order to get rid of everything I want to get rid of on this side, I'm going to cut it at 4 5/8. Set my fence for 4 5/8. My blade doesn't need to be up that high. Pressure's always in that direction. You're keeping the board tight to the fence, and because the force of the blade is pushing this way, wanting to twist this around, I'm consciously pushing in that corner. I'll use this hand, I'll keep it in this position, and as long as this board is that wide, I have no problem running my hand through. I don't use a push block. I have a lot more control with my hand on there than if I was using a push block. I use a push block when I'm closer, but at this stage, I would prefer to use my hand. Now, I want to get rid of that waney edge. So the narrowest point seems to be right here, which is going to be 4 7/16, I think. Make sure there's no debris. I don't want any debris on the table or against the fence. I don't know what I was thinking when I said that. 4 5/16 actually to get rid of that. All right, now my board is, I would say, close in its width that I want, close in its thickness that I want, and close in the length that I want. What I've left in width is going to allow me to take my hand plane and get rid of those marks, and on this side, take my hand plane and get rid of what are the saw marks. You can see them right here. Then I need to be able to hand plane this, need to hand plane that, but I'm going to go ahead and cut it to length. I've got a rip blade in there, but a nice sharp rip blade actually does a decent job on cross-cutting. I'll use my sled for this. This is a shop-made implement. I prefer it over a miter gauge. Now I want to get rid of that check, so the first thing I'll do is take my good end and just square it up. I only need to cut off just enough so that the blade touches on the narrowest end or the shortest end. Keep this squeezed tight to the fence. Now I can go ahead and measure from that clean end to what I think I would need to do, and I'm assuming I probably need to come back in here somewhere. I'm going to go 23 1/4. I trust the setting on my gauge over here, and I suggest that you get yours set up so that you do too, you'll find it'll save you a lot of work and time. Now I'm holding this firmly at all times. I'm not worrying. If you let go, there's a chance it's going to wiggle like that against the blade, but I hold it firmly. I go forward and bring it back. All right, so there's my piece of lumber that is ready for the next stage of finishing. But as far as a furniture component, it's ready, sized, minus whatever I need to get rid of mill marks. We'll cover that one in another episode. Hope you enjoyed this. If you like my work and enjoy my style of teaching, click on any one of these videos and help take your woodworking to the next level. I've always said, better tools make the job so much easier. If you click on the link below, the chisel and plane icon, it'll take you to our site and introduce you to all the tools that we actually manufacture right here in our shop. It'll also give you information on our online and in-person workshops.